Jobkeeper is keeping zombie companies alive. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.Heise here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. I've got my lunchtime stein of coffee and I thought before I settle in for a nice Sunday afternoon nap, we'd have a look at an article here from ABC News discussing Jobkeeper and how, well, it's keeping zombie companies alive. Now, I have been in this situation myself. In our architectural practice, we had, a big project. There's pretty much a year's worth of revenue that just finished, disappeared. These things can happen from one period to another. So that was a big shock to the system. That was one of the issues I always faced with our practice. We'd get to a certain size, have a few staff. I think the most we had was about 12 of us in the team. And you'd have a lot of revenue coming from one source. That would always terrify me. It's like certain countries completely dependent on, other countries for most of their economy or their tourism, education, and exports. But that would always worry me, being so dependent on one source, because you never know what could happen. A relationship could sour. You're dependent on their business thriving, or situations could change. In this instance, they sold their project off and moved on. So I suddenly took a huge hit to forecast revenue. Really big hit. And, that was a bit of a wake-up call. I had to step back and just reevaluate the business. And that's when you have to really make some harsh cuts. Really harsh. Scale back, become a lean machine, and look at any which way you can save money. And it is stressful. It is not easy, but coming out of that the other side, you, hopefully, will be better for it, stronger for it, have a better, more robust business. I discovered a lot of dead weight we were carrying, a lot of inefficiencies we had, and now, we're a much tighter business. I've gotten rid of all of the perks. I got rid of the office. I got rid of all these extra expenses. We're now working from home, but I still have clients contacting me, still getting work. If I need to meet them, I'll go out there. So it's not the end of the world. But I had to go through that pain. If I was getting, government stimulus or handouts to keep the business going, to keep the people employed, you're less inclined to make the painful decisions that you need in order to emerge in a stronger position afterwards. That's why tough times are necessary. Tough times are necessary in life. You don't want to avoid them. You want to overcome them. You'll be more resilient for it. I get the feeling some people are too protected often. You've seen the whole shtick about the helicopter parents or the snowflake children are overly protected. And I mean it is a bit concerning, and is it still existing, or are people rebelling against it, or now actually they're the snowflake children of my age and they're not having kids? That's the other issue. So that's where we're having Jobkeeper stepping in, and it may be propping up businesses that need to either die, frankly, shut down, aren't viable. Maybe they were right at the edge before this, and this has tipped them over the edge, or this is the kick they need to restructure, to get rid of the dead weight, to make the changes that they need in their business to move forward. So we'll have to have a look. What do you think, guys? Do you think we're going to have a whole series of zombie businesses? And insolvency practitioners, maybe that's the new growth industry next year. At least 1,000 businesses are engaging in insolvent trading with virtual immunity from legal actions, according to the peak body representing Australia's insolvency practitioners. Now, this is an issue. This is kind of what stopped me going with the home builder. Because we've got an old Queenslander here. And it needs a lot of work, everyone. It needs a lot of work. And before you say it in the comments, I'll need a nap today more than I need to work on the house this afternoon. But what I was concerned of was builders potentially trading while insolvent. Now, what this means is, under the Companies Act, or your responsibility as a director, you have to sign a piece of paper every year telling ASIC that you're not trading while insolvent. So that means that if you're trading, going on in business, taking contracts, dealing with clients, engaging the services from suppliers, you are in a position where you understand or expect to be able to pay the debts as they fall due within a reasonable time. That's it. You can't be taking on all these things from suppliers, and then they're giving you 90 days credit, and you can't pay them. That's trading while insolvent. So what happens if someone dodges you on a company? You try and go them trading while insolvent and try to personally chase the director. Because they're personally liable for it to some extent. I mean, that's a painful process to go through. I've had court cases, win in my favor, and then still getting it to that stage. ASIC aren't much help. But that's why I'm worried, because they've kind of just let it up in the air. You're absolved. You're absolved from this responsibility, directors. Go nuts. Go nuts. So businesses trading while insolvent can rack up additional debts to customers and suppliers that may never be repaid when they finally go bust. And this is the problem, because it's all the suppliers, it's the people, that are providing services, either goods, equipment, tradies. You're doing, an architectural design for a restaurant that stiffs you, 15 grand. You don't hold a grudge, though. The Australian Securities and Investment Commission reports that last financial year, 7,182 companies collapsed into administration or insolvency. This figure is down 12% on the previous 12 months. The Australian Restructuring, Insolvency and Turnaround Association CEO, John Winter, says it beggars belief that the number of businesses falling is lower than at the same time last year. So, I mean, there you go. Because from our perspective, I don't want to have a house up in the air, where the guy's trading while insolvent, goes under, and I've got a house I can't live in, half finished. Then I'll have to go on a current affair, and you don't want to do that. Even when economic conditions were relatively favourable, the industry saw at least the baseline number of businesses going into administration, which is generally around 8,000 a year or more. Comparing the latest week in July to the same 7 days in 2019 shows the number of business failures is down by half. So think about this. Our government is racking up mountains of debt, billions of dollars of debt. The deficit is now at levels, budget deficit is at levels not seen since World War II. And how many of those businesses were already on the verge of going under? And how many of them are we just kicking the can down the road? Those businesses, just on normal numbers, should be broke now. They should be in an insolvency mechanism because the pandemic only made it worse. There's no way they're coming out the other side. However, under the cover of the pandemic and with a range of assistance measures designed to keep struggling businesses alive, ARITA is warning that many zombie firms are claiming they are financially viable when they're not. ARITA estimates that at least 20% of Australian businesses trading through the pandemic may be in the position where they would otherwise be trading insolvent without temporary legal changes, plus government and financial support, banking financial support. I mean, this just shows you guys. It just shows you how much the state has intervened, how much the banks have intervened. If we're getting half the number of bankrupts, of insolvencies, you're making the insolvent guy grumpy with a good haircut. I mean, here in Australia, even accountants don't wear ties anymore. It's like that. I've gotten out of the habit. I really have. Jobkeeper, eased regulations, a life support. Exactly. Our economy is on life support. Do people even think it's going to spring back? Subsidizing wages through the Jobkeeper program is the central plank in a life support strategy, which also includes changing or scrapping more than 80 business regulations and banks deferring loan repayments for tens of thousands of businesses. Company law changes have given directors much greater protection from being personally sued if their business incurs further debts while insolvent. And the big thing is, I'm worried about all the developers that are going to take advantage of that. But probably the period isn't long enough for that to happen. Probably be a builder. It'll be someone right on the edge that just keeps going. Maybe to milk a little bit more out of the system, out of the business for themselves. And for large share market listed companies, continuous disclosure rules designed to keep investors fully informed have been dramatically watered down for the time being. Does that even matter? If you think about it, people don't care. Investors don't want profit. They, maybe if your business is insolvent now, they'll all start dogpiling in. They all think it's going to be good. Look at what happened with Hertz. All the retailers just bought and went bankrupt. As many as 960,000 employers have benefited from the Jobkeeper arrangements. Eligibility relies on income falling between 30 and 50% from pre-pandemic levels, depending on the size of the firm. Mr. Winter noted that while many of these employers were teetering on the edge of survival before Jobkeeper, some did better from the crisis subsidy than they would have in normal course of business. The insolvent trading moratorium has meant that there are people out there who say, tough luck for my creditors. I may win lotto. I might come out of this the other side, he said. Their sense of responsibility to their creditors has been absorbed by this. Since the federal government announced greater protections for directors from being personally liable for insolvent trading, insolvency practitioners have seen their work dry up. So there you go. John Winter said insolvency inquiries have been increasing rapidly until that point. Businesses have been telling us they were in distress or desperately trying to keep themselves out of distress, Winter said. From the Monday morning, 23rd of March, when the government made its announcement, every discussion dried up, and there are liquidators who haven't had a phone call for a new job since that day. Wow. And this is debt that we're incurring. And I know there are idiots out there who think we'll never have to repay it. Then they'll just inflate it away, or then they'll tax it back out of us to mitigate their inflation. MMT isn't magic, guys. It's not magic. There's only... The problem is there's unknown consequences. And do we really want a government off the leash? Do we want a government off the leash? Is that moral? Is that moral? That you can steal people's savings through inflation? Or that you use taxation to mitigate people's spending? Or to mitigate the risk of inflation? Or is it moral to generate money and then create bubbles all throughout the economy? I think a lot of people would much rather have a government on the leash, making a little bit more sensible decisions, maybe a little bit smaller, a smaller state. Mr. Winter warns that proving corporate malfeasance is also going to be difficult when the government removes its business life support and banks stop deferring loan repayments. There we go. Those were continued until March. We will see some businesses fall off the truck in October, and we'll have to see how it goes in March. But this is the thing that it hasn't. I'm surprised it's actually been discussed in this article. It's not really getting into the mainstream. But I guess trading while insolvent isn't something very exciting. But it worries me the most. I guess I've been stiffed on invoices, guys, and had to try and chase them down. I've just been looking at my database and sending out invoices because I've still got QuickBooks Online. I'm slowly trying to decant off that and do it all in my own Access dashboard so I can avoid paying that QuickBooks fee. And I remember, I've gone into it and I kind of jumped away for a while and I saw all these different mechanisms I had for chasing bill payments. I had some dodgy high maintenance clients, I'll tell you, in construction. So calls for ASIC to be better resourced to take cases to court. Insolvency practitioners complain that ASIC was already overwhelmed by its workload before the pandemic. AREDA's members report at least 10,000 alleged breaches of the corporation's law to the regulator each year. John Winter despairs that less than 24 cases are prosecuted, or around 0.2% of the suspected illegal activity. So, either you can argue for more funding for ASIC, or maybe public making it, removing it entirely. Look at that. What's it doing? The Australian Small Business and Family Enterprise Ombudsman, Kate Carnell, has just completed a review of the liquidation process and agrees that ASIC should be resourced to investigate more complaints. So few cases of misconduct are pursued through the courts, it's not good enough, Ms. Carnell said. A spokesman for ASIC said the regulator is urging the banks to be vigilant in checking the viability of businesses who have deferred their loans. The banks are generally secured creditors. This means they can claim back their debts against the value of assets such as a business owner's home, but that the bulk of creditors of insolvent companies are themselves small businesses with unsecured claims. Both Ms. Carnell and Mr. Winter blame the enormous cost of liquidation for the fact that so much bad behaviour is going unpunished. In the year to June 2019, 87% of companies that failed had assets of less than $100,000. Close to 60% had assets worth less than $10,000. Liquidators rely on whatever money is left to pay themselves. A reader says a forensic analysis of what went wrong and what, if any, directors' duties have been breached costs an average of $600 an hour to complete. By the time that is done, there is often little, if anything, left to pay creditors. So we need to invest in these businesses doing these forensic analysis. Is that what they're saying? Is there an exchange traded fund for some of these guys? Let me know in the comments if you know any, because sadly there may be demand. ASIC does provide a pool of $6.98 million for liquidators to pursue suspected crooks. It is called the Assetless Administration Fund, but John Winter argues the money is nigh impossible to secure. If it is to have any impact, Mr. Winter wants the Asset Administration Fund to have at least $100 million in it. This is how much the ATO received in extra funding last year to pursue those who are not complying with the tax rules. Liquidators are required to self-fund initial investigations in order to prove to ASIC that there is a case to pursue. Applying for the money is itself, he said, an expensive and onerous endeavour. ASIC should be doing the job for themselves, he said. Well, you think they would. We pay enough in fees, but, they've got to pay for their luxury offers and all the other perks that they have. So what do you think, everyone? Is a Jobkeeper a great investment? Or are we going to have a whole lot of zombie companies that should have gone under that are just kicking the can down the road that little bit longer? And are you a fan of ASIC? Let us know your opinions in the comments below. Thank you, everyone. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. If you're a fan and want to support the content I create, there are a few ways you can. You can join the channel on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us using our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or Kucoin. You can buy our merch from HeiseSays, use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Take care, guys. I'll see you next time.